What's up, YouTube? So I'm back with another video, and this is kind of going to be a series overview slash rant, I guess. So I just finished the final episode of Secret Invasion on Disney Plus, and this show is trash. I don't know why people like this show, why people try to talk this show up like it's genius or it's interesting. It's not. This show is basically your average alien takes over plot where they kidnap the original host and they're basically playing the host that they took over. You know, we've seen this in plenty of movies. Hell, even SpongeBob did this many years ago, where the bikini bottom fish were like asking for mayonnaise. That was the main giveaway for them being clones or aliens or whatever. So this show was boring, long, dull, boring conversation, lots of sitting down in most episodes. It's kind of like one of those shows where not a lot happens until like the very end of the episode. Like, for example, the episode before this finale episode was super slow, not much happened. You got key details here and there. But then when the most interesting thing in the episode happened, which is when Nick Fury decided to call the Avengers, that's when the episode ends. So yeah, this show is garbage. I don't know why people like this show. This show is boring. The story elements don't really make a lot of sense. So there's also agenda in this show, which I'm against. I'm fighting the feminist agenda because the main thing that was terrible about this finale, because the show, you could tell that they were trying to build up to something, but then they just gave up and then freaked out at the end of the series for some reason. It was like they rushed it or something. This show was building up to Gravik and Nick Fury. Gravik basically hates Nick Fury just because Nick Fury, I guess, saved him when he was much younger as a child. This was like supposed to be a flashback that I guess takes place during Captain Marvel or before or after. So basically, Nick Fury promised to give him and his people, which are the other Skrulls, a safe place to go to, which that safe place is the place that we see the Skrulls go to in the first two episodes, that sanctuary looking place. But this guy, he just wasn't intimidating at all. The acting was he was just a stoic villain who didn't really have a lot of screen presence, in my opinion. He basically was like a son that hated his father just because, like, he hates Nick Fury just because he couldn't fulfill a promise. And a lot of characters are like blaming Nick Fury and trying to break down Nick Fury's character and tell him he's this old black man, he's weak, he's not as good as he used to be. I'm just not feeling this. Like, it's one thing for Samuel L. Jackson to be playing this character, and it's another thing for somebody who's his age to be still told that he's old and useless and all these things. Like, I'm pretty sure if you were old, even if it's acting, you wouldn't want your character being told that, because that kind of strikes a nerve, if you ask me. Another thing that I never understood about Nick Fury is that we never got to hear him say mother, his catchphrase, Samuel L. Jackson's catchphrase, calling people a mother effer. The show, I think, I probably would have appreciated it a little bit better had he had called Gravik a mother effer at the very last episode. But it was just generic conversation. He was just kind of phoning in that final scene. And then come to find out, they pulled a crappy Marvel, the MCU What If, where it's not actually Nick Fury fighting him. It's that small, I don't even know her name because I don't care. And two, I don't think they really said her name that often. But Emilia Clarke's character, she basically, that's Talos's daughter. She basically, I guess, was in that same chamber that Gravik became like a super Skrull kind of character in. And she got Skrull powers too. Like, that shit's lame. Like, nobody cares. This was not even built up upon. I thought it was going to be Nick Fury fighting this Gravik villain. And you know what? If you even watch the episode and click on it, all of the plot details say this final fight is on Nick Fury's hands, and Nick Fury was somewhere else doing some other BS because they discovered that Rhodey was a Skrull. We already knew this since the series first came out, that Rhodey was a Skrull. So when it got revealed, it wasn't even that cool. It wasn't even that surprising or anything like that. It was kind of a stupid reveal too. So the Rhodey is trying to kill the president. So you see like Rhodey Skrull moving the president's bed with the secret agents, I guess trying to get him to another area so he can kill him in secret. But then the real Nick Fury shows up to the hospital. Like, why couldn't all of this have been done earlier? And then later on, we could have gotten the real Nick Fury fighting against Gravik. And you might say like, oh, well, Namikaze, he's a 70 plus year old man. How is he going to fight a Super Skrull? I don't care. It's supposed to be his fight. He could have shot him. He could have did something. Do you know how weak these Skrulls were when they were getting shot up by regular bullets? Fuck this show. This show sucks and Disney sucks. Another thing I wanted to say too is that I don't know if y'all have been noticing this, but it seems like in a lot of these, it's not even just Marvel, but I've noticed this, especially in like stuff like Resident Evil games, where for some reason they refuse to show the full transformation of whenever a character is transforming. I don't get that. Like, for example, in the Hulk movies or in the Hulk, the Avengers movies, remember how you would see the Hulk slowly start getting bigger and then his skin would start turning green. You would see the veins start to pop out, the shirt rip, the shoes rip, and then you see his eyes turn green, and then eventually, boom, he's the Hulk. They don't even do that anymore. It's always for some reason done off screen, and that's another thing that kind of disappointed / pissed me off about the Gravik reveal when he was like a Super Skrull, because it's like they're in this chamber looking thing that looks like the same chamber that Abomination was in She-Hulk. It was like the same chamber looking machine that he was in. You see the light flash on and off a couple of times, and then boom, he's just a Super Skrull. It's like, really? You got the money, Disney, but for some reason you don't want to use it. You got plenty of dollars to use this money for some good special effects, but instead you're using it on terrible CGI and you're using it on AI intros. So I do not recommend anybody watch this show unless you're trying to catch some Z's, because this show definitely put me to sleep. Like, comment, subscribe, and talk to me in the comments.